Now, the interior angles of a polygon always add up to a number. And no matter what shape the polygon has, triangle, it could look like that, or it could look like crazy, right? The sum of these angles will be the same as the sum of these angles. It's always dependent on how many sides something has. So just like squares and rectangles and all quadrilaterals add up to 360, all triangles add up to 180. You got to know that. Everything that's three-sided is 180. Everything that's four-sided is 360. But the ACT likes to ask questions about, and the SAT too, about polygons with more than four sides. Or they like to ask questions about four-sided polygons in such a way that you doubt that fundamental knowledge. So here's a couple things to do. So first off, this is probably what, if you looked at a test prep, most test prep books, they would tell you to do is memorize this. I don't think this is particularly helpful. I don't like to give you another thing to memorize. You can memorize it if you want. Go for it. I'm not telling you don't. I'm not saying what I'm doing is better. I'm just saying I don't think it works as well. I'm more interested in providing context and trying to show you how things work the way they do. All right, let's say that's a Oof. It's a rough-looking rectangle. Let's try that one more time. Let's say this is a rectangle. Regardless of how bad it looks, it's going to be a rectangle. Okay. Now, we already said a rectangle has a sum of the interior angles. If I add up this angle, we know that in a rectangle, they're all 90 degrees, right? We all know that. If I add up those four 90-degree angles, 90 plus 90 plus 90 plus 90, it's equal to 360, right? Angle, or degree. Okay. In triangle, we know that's 180. Okay. All right. So, what about a pentagon? Okay. Or a hexagon, or so on and so forth. Well, I'm going to show you two ways. Triangle is 180 degrees. And a triangle, in a way, you could think of it as half of a rectangle, or just half of a quadrilateral. It could be any kind of quadrilateral. It have to be, maybe a right triangle would be half of a rectangle. So there's two 180-degree triangles in a rectangle, right? How many triangles can I draw here? Remember, they don't have to be right triangles. I can only draw three. So as long as I go from corner to corner, from vertex to vertex, I can only get three triangles out of there. And a pentagon with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides has a sum of its interior angles of 540 degrees. (540 degrees). A hexagon. If you guys ever take organic chemistry, you'll get good at drawing hexagons, although apparently over time that lapses. A hexagon, I could draw 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4 triangles. So 4 times 180 is 720. Now, is it always practical to draw the shape? No, but you can definitely do it that way if you want. Or a lot of times the shape will be given. What I would recommend you do is just say, look, if it's a triangle, it's 180. For every side over 3, I just add on 180. So 4-sided shapes have 4 sides. That's 1 more than a triangle, so that's 2 180s. 5-sided shapes, 2 more than a triangle, so that's 3 180s, 540. So on and so on and so on and so forth. Now, one other thing I just want to touch on for a minute is regular polygons. And you'll see a little bit more about this in our next video on exterior angles. But a regular polygon is like a rectangle or in an equilateral triangle. Remember, equilateral triangles have 360-degree angles, right? Regular polygons, all the interior angles are just the same size. So if I wanted to find how big, let's go back to my pentagon. Let's say this is a regular pentagon, and it's going to look just as good as you imagined. If I say, how big is the interior angle of a regular pentagon? Well, I already said that there are 3 triangles in here, 540 degrees, where there were 2 sides over 3, so we knew it was 540 degrees. And that 540 degrees is going to be shared evenly over 3, 4, 5 angles. There'll be as many angles as there are sides. Right? So that goes in 1, 0, 8 times 108 degrees. The bigger your shape gets, right, as far as the number of sides, the higher the number of sides, the bigger the interior angles will be if it's regular. You know, you get to a 9-sided shape or a 10-sided shape, it's got to do a lot of this, right? These are, you know, from here, let's just draw like a ridiculous polygon, right? Right, this looks almost like I'm trying to draw a circle, but you see how big these angles are, way bigger than 90 degrees. So they tend to get bigger as you go along. The exterior angles, on the other hand, will get smaller. So hold up a second. We're going to switch into full screen mode and go ahead and do a problem. This is a pretty standard question type in this interior angle set. So what you're looking at here is a pentagon. They're asking, instead of what's the sum of the interior angles, they're asking just for this one single missing angle, x. To find x, though, we need to know the sum of the interior angles. So it's just finding the sum of the interior angles with a little extra step. You could draw 3 triangles. There would be 1, this little triangle on the end. Here would be 2, and then this third one would be here on the bottom. Or you could say, well, pentagon has 5 sides. That's 2 more than 3, so it'll be 180 times 3, or 500. I know we just did this, 540 degrees. Now it's just a simple matter of subtraction. 540 minus, don't forget the 90, that's the one that people want to leave off. Now this question doesn't trap for it, but a lot of them will. Minus 137, just go in order around the wheel, well, around the pentagon. Minus 121, clean that up a little bit. So 240, 361, 451. So 540 minus 451. Just added these 4 together is all I did. And that's going to be a 9. And that's going to be, this was a 3. That's going to be an 8. And that cancels down. So the correct answer would be 89 degrees. Of course, you could check that back if you wanted to, but you really shouldn't need to. Make sure you practice these. These are really important. And I know this is a fairly simple example and you'll think you'll remember it, but there's a little bit more here than meets the eye. Definitely check out the practice problems on this and check out the next video on exterior angles. You'll be really happy if you are one of those test takers that gets it on test day, which is about 75% of you guys.